Awesome. So I'll proceed with roll call. Student trustee Bravo. Student trustee Bravo. Bravo absent. President Kumar.
Here.
Thank you. Kumar present. Vice President Ahmed.
Present.
Ahmed present. Treasurer Nida Manuri.
Present.
Nina Maruri present. Chief of Staff Omen. Omen absent. Chairwoman Hamad.
Present.
Hamad present. El Adawi. Chairwoman El Adawi.
Present.
El Adawi present. Chairwoman Aitana Nadala.
Present.
Nadala present. Chairwoman Michelle Show.
Present.
Show present. Speaker of the House Stancheva.
Present.
Stancheva present. Representative Petineo.
Here.
Petineo present. Representative Oyefeso. Oyefeso absent. Representative Alfredo Ruiz. Ruiz absent. Representative Nehi. Nehi absent. Representative Jocelyn Aranda Ortiz. Aranda Ortiz absent. Representative Kyla Taylor.
Present.
Taylor present. Representative Malak Abdel Salam. Abdel Salam absent. Representative Selvaraj.
Present.
Selvaraj present. Representative Almendras.
Present.
Almendras present. Representative B.
Present.
B present. Representative Fernandez.
Present.
Fernandez present. Representative Villagomez.
Present.
Villagomez present. Representative Hack.
Present.
Hack present. Representative Nguyen.
Present.
Nguyen present. Representative Suresh. Suresh absent. Representative Bilba Sigamani. Bilba Sigamani absent. Representative Khan. Khan absent.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Representative Khan has an excused absence.
Representative Khan excused absent. Representative Sarah Malik.
Present.
Malik present. Representative Ovide.
Present.
Ovide present. Representative Henry.
Present.
Henry present. Representative Krisman.
Present.
Krisman present. And that concludes roll call.
Just one more note to add. Representative Velvasi Gamani is also excused.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you so much. So as you guys can probably see, there is no reading and approval of the minutes. And the reason for that is because we were having an issue with finding the minutes from the last meeting. So we will present them at the next meeting. But as of right now, we don't have any minutes to approve or read over. So that'll be at the next meeting. So the next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda. So please take this time to read over the agenda and let me know if there's any amendments to it.
Should I screen share?
Yes, please. Are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, if not, then the agenda will stand as approved. The next order of business is public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay, so if not, then we can move on to the next order of business, which is guest speakers. So we have a few guest speakers today. So our first guest speakers are, or actually, Anshu, could you please introduce the guest speakers? Thank you.
I can actually introduce them. They're with me today. So this is Laugh at UIC. It's co-presidents Rohit Urkula, Trina Menon, and their treasurer Alex Bosco. And so they are this laughing yoga club at UIC that's just started, and they were looking to get some funding for some of their projects that's upcoming this semester. So if you guys want to take it away.
Yes. Can you guys all hear me? Okay, cool. Yeah, as Matt introduced us, we're LAUGH. We're a new student org that just started this semester. And yeah, we'll just be presenting a little bit about us first before we ask for funding. So Rohit, if you want to go to the next slide. So kind of like what we do on campus is our meetings consist of laughter therapy workshops, and our mission is ultimately to alleviate stress and support student mental health by introducing this art to the UIC community. And we feel that through Zoom, especially like by doing these laughter sessions, we can promote student well-being in a very fun and accessible manner, as well as create a very positive environment through which students can participate. So to go on a little bit about what laughter yoga is, since it is kind of a interesting concept and one that I think over here we don't really hear much about. So it was modernized and pioneered by physician Dr. Madan Kataria in Mumbai, India back in 1995. But now it has become an international phenomenon. It has spread to around 110 different countries. And Dr. Kataria himself has written several books and conducted research about the positive effects of laughter yoga, as well as been featured and endorsed by several prominent magazines and television shows. And so what is laughter yoga? So basically what it involves is prolonged intentional laughter exercises along with yoga breathing. And through that, participants can receive a whole host of positive physiological and psychological benefits. It's not actually yoga. So the only yoga component to it are the deep breathing techniques. But other than that, participants just can do guided laughter exercises. And in terms of the specific benefits it provides, it decreases cortisol levels, releases endorphins, lowers blood pressure, and improves overall quality of life. And it does this by exploiting the mind-body connection and engaging your parasympathetic nervous system. And it kind of falls under the idea that even forced or fake laughter can still produce the same benefits as real laughter. Rohit, I don't think we can hear the video.
From yoga that brings more oxygen to our body and brain and makes us feel more healthy and more energetic. Scientifically, our body cannot differentiate between real and fake laughter. This is what I discovered. You will get the same physiological and biochemical changes as you will get from the real laughter. Okay, now, before we begin to laugh, let's see what's happening in California.
Every morning on Laguna Beach, California, you'll find a group gathered on the sand, laughing. You should know, laughter yoga was the brainchild of Indian doctor Madan Kataria. What began with 5 people in a Mumbai park in 1995 has spread to more than 5,000 laughter clubs in 50 countries. More than that, Kataria says the breathing and laughing of laughter yoga will improve your health. even if you have to fake the laughter. It's a claim backed up by Lee Burke at Loma Linda University. Burke has found laughter decreases stress hormones, improves our immune system, and boosts endorphins. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN.
Yeah, so that kind of just explains what like laughter yoga is. So I know like in this like TED talk, they kind of showed like everyone like standing up and like doing certain movements or whatever, but it's actually like something that's like very easy to do. And that's why we think it's like particularly relevant, like even over like Zoom, like it's pretty easy to do if you're like sitting down, you don't have to like do anything extreme.
Now, the reason we call it laughter.
And so in terms of the like exact funding we're requesting, so basically we want a USG and Laugh collaboration speaking event in which we invite Dr. Kataria to speak and like explain what laughter yoga is, and then also do a laughter yoga session. And so why we want to do this, we think that this like event can like help like boost like mental health around or for like students, for UIC students, because especially like during the pandemic, people can like feel like isolated, and we think this is like a great way to meet people. And also like as Shranya mentioned, it has all of those like physiological benefits, and like even after like one session you can kind of like feel benefits. So we think it would be something really great to do. And we kind of also want to do this because Dr. Kataria has been like kind of like supporting our student organization, and we kind of like see this as a way as like giving back to him, I guess. And so we have like his PayPal, and I guess if this like pulls through, then we can like obviously like give that information. So.
And then in terms of the event we would be holding with Dr. Kataria, which we're really happy to hold. So given the pandemic situation, it'll be over Zoom. So it'll be on March 10th, and we're thinking of like around then. It's subject to change, but that's when our event will be. And then next slide, please. And then in terms of the value that the event would bring to our campus, so I think Saranya and Rohit already went over a lot. So especially given the pandemic, college students are pretty like prone to like a lot of like mental health issues. And as a result, like our organization wants to like help alleviate this, and like having an event like this, especially in a time like the pandemic, would allow people to be exposed to laughter yoga, especially given that the founder is coming, Dr. Kataria, and also experience positive mental effects themselves. So that's the value. And then we also wanted to give some numbers, given that we're a new organization. So we have 347 followers on Instagram, so we've been active there. Then we also had 94 students express interest in the org, and then 32 came to our first informational meeting, and we're expecting a similar or greater number for the event we would be holding. And then in a kind of like qualitative way, students mentioned they were interested in the organization and events like this, because it's just very unique and accessible. You don't need to do much, as Rohit said, it's just laughing. So that's the kind of value our event would bring and what we mean to UIC.
And yeah, that is our presentation. Do you guys have any questions?
Good evening. This is Drake Parker. I just have a comment. So first and foremost, wonderful presentation. I think having a laugh yoga event will be great for UNI Care Week, which happens in about the second week of March. So I am a part of that committee, and I think that would be perfect to add as one of the programming options for UNI Care Week. Just an FYI.
No, absolutely. I think that's a great idea. And we're very open and receptive to that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Sounds good.
Are there any other questions?
Yes, so is this a one-time event or will there be multiple meetings?
So I guess what we're requesting funding for would be a one-time event. Yeah.
But we do have similar like sessions at our meetings, but just on a smaller scale.
Exactly.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a quick question. You guys had in your presentation that there was research done on this laughter therapy and how it really works. Could you guys touch a little bit more on that research? Because I'm really curious to see like what are the effects of it, like the benefits and whatnot.
Yeah. So like in the presentation, we were saying it's been shown to decrease cortisol levels, release endorphins, lower blood pressure, and just improve quality of life, which can be like in psychological research that can kind of be like quantitatively defined. We can also like, I mean, I don't know if you guys like want to see it, but like obviously we have like those research papers too, which we're able to kind of show if interested.
And I think it's also because it, like just by doing forced laughter, you're kind of like breathing very deeply and like releasing, like, I guess, carbon dioxide and like receiving oxygen. So in that way, it just like overall increases like the amount of oxygen that you intake. And then that can trigger your parasympathetic nervous system. So then that can make you a little more relaxed. And yeah, and as we mentioned, like release endorphins, decrease cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, thank you guys so much for presenting. And then I think it was Matt. Would you like to introduce our second guest speaker?
I can introduce him. Seamus McNamara is the president of the Young Democratic Socialists of America, which is a registered org here on campus, and he will be asking for funding for a virtual conference, so I'll let him take it away.
Hey all, yeah, as Anshu said, my name is Seamus. I am the president of the YDSA here on campus, which is the youth branch on campus of the Democratic Socialists of America. And coming up this February is our winter conference. And for that, we are asking you all for funding. Yeah. So yeah, the Young Democratic Social, like the proposal basically is we would like for other members. So it's not like we're solely basing it off of you. The only reason we really have approached you other than the other years is, in essence, we've been growing a lot more this semester than other semesters. So we're looking to send more participants than the like 2 we usually do. The 5 participants who you would be paying for are all freshmen, and they're all like newer students. So we want them to kind of like go to this conference that is held almost every year for all the orgs. Last year we went, the conference last year allowed for our members to like connect with other university students across the country, and I went to it as well. And so like this conference kind of offers students not only at USC but like across the country to like exchange experiences on what's going on in their campuses. They can exchange like organizing skills and like how to, you know, petition, from petitions to like actions that might be necessary, and like leadership skills as well. Like I used to be a participant in my org, and now I am running it somehow. So like I don't know how, but like that's the going to this conference made me want to participate more in my school and communities, and so I feel like that would translate for other students if we were going to this conference. So like this year's conference, because of the pandemic, it is online, so like the costs for travel are much less, and then it's actually cheaper this year than it has been for a lot of years. And what they would do at these conferences this year is probably like workshops like they did last year, where they would kind of like go and like study history, talk about certain like initiatives and campaigns that have worked, not worked. They would go to seminars from like guest speakers from across the country and stuff on certain topics. It's kind of fluid. And yeah, so like I think our participation in this would help UIC a lot. It helps students to like organize for needed policy changes, not only like in the city, but also just in their lives going forward, not only at this university, but going in their lives forward, like living in Chicago or other places. It helps meet other students, not only throughout the country, but the city as well. Like I now have many associates and like just friends from like other universities here in Chicago that I now work with on like helping get food into the hands of people, doing like events from across the school to kind of like broaden that community. And yeah, it also just helps ultimately students become organizers and participants in their school and communities at the end of the day. And so, yeah. I didn't have as in-depth or an awesome as presentation as the last group, so I understand if there are a lot of questions. So, yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. So can you explain more in depth what YSDA is?
Yeah, so the YDSA is like the college / like youth branch of the DSA, which is the Democratic Socialists of America. And what that organization is, it's not necessarily like a party like the Democrats or the Republicans or like the Greens or like anything you can think of. It's more of like the best other example is Illinois PIRG, where it's kind of an interest group, but like a kind of a big tent where there are a lot of different progressive ideologies underneath it. And so what the YDSA does on campus is mostly boost the DSA's platform as well, but also like bring to the forefront like the younger generations issues and stuff that might be happening. Like for instance, we've started a cancel student debt campaign like nationally. So we're like talking about how to cancel student debt and like pressuring people like that. So it's kind of like to put it like in perspective, it's kind of the equivalent of like a Young Democrats, Young Republicans, but we are not a party. Like we're just the youth, we're the younger, we're the student and like youth group of the DSA.
Awesome, thank you. And another question, is there a way we can contact you if we have further questions?
Yeah, you can contact me at this one. This email that I just put in the chat is our email to be contacted if you have any further questions. Either I or another executive committee member will talk back to some people with any questions.
Thank you. While you're here, is there any other questions?
I have a question for Seamus. Thank you for the presentation. I'm curious, how did fall semester go for you and like your members and your organization, like planning and organizing events, and if there were any like other conferences you joined in the fall?
Yeah, so the fall semester was pretty much one of like transition from regular day life before the pandemic to like online stuff. So it was mostly me trying to figure out how to like take what we usually do and put it online. And so it was a little rocky. We had meetings and we did a lot of stuff with other orgs. It was just more to a limited extent because a lot of people I feel like were adjusting to it. This semester, since like the booth and stuff like that, we had a lot of interest. The online booth, we had like 70 people have interest in it, and we have about 70. Yeah, we have like 70 people on our list, like our mail list, our email list, and as well as we have like probably around half of that within our Slack group chat that still is like committed and stuff, because it is kind of a reoccurring list.
So not everyone is going to the conference, only those 5 people?
Yeah, we could send as many as we want, but it's limited by the cost. We missed the early bird deadline, which would have been $20 just because like we were crafting this proposal. So it's like, we're just trying to send the newest members of our group so that they have the they kind of have those like those leadership skills and organizing skills that we developed. The older people who currently run the org had last time when we went to it when we were like sophomores and freshmen. So it's mostly it.
Which makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, so if there are no more questions, thank you so much for your time. And if you guys come up with any other questions later on, I see that the email is posted in the chat. So yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks all. Have a good meeting.
Okay, so the next order of business is ex officio reports. May we please have the reports of the advisors?
Yes. Happy New Year. I hope you had a fantastic break and ready for another successful semester in USG. I first would like to just take this time to commend you all in advance for the wonderful work you will do in USG this semester, and to please do not hesitate to contact the advisors if we can be of help/assistance to you. Also, I want to share some information regarding the 2021 student elections that will be taking place this year. So, as far as student elections, the positions on the ballot for the 2021 student elections are as follows: the undergraduate student government president, the undergraduate student government vice president, the undergraduate student government House of Representatives, the undergraduate members of the UIC Senate, and the student members of the Board of Trustees. Applications for candidacy becomes available on February the 1st and are due February the 12th. A full timeline for the elections can be found at go.uic.edu/student elections. I will put that link in the chat. We are asking that students submit their intent to run the form before submitting the actual applications. And if you have any questions regarding the process, you can email studentepc@uic.edu. So I would definitely put the link as far as information related to the elections in the group chat. And then if you have any questions, feel free to email studentepc@uic.edu. And that concludes the advisor's report.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? I have a comment regarding the election. For all of the members who joined this year, all of the new members, our representatives, if you guys would like to stay in USG next year, you have two options. One of the options would be to go through the application process again in the fall semester. The other and better option would be for you to run as a representative. If you run as a representative, I mean, I'm not too sure what the process is. I'm sure the advisors can tell you more about it. But if you go through the process, you get voted in, and then your term will be secured for the next 2 years. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, does the 2 years apply to every position that you can run for, or is it just for representatives?
It's just for representatives.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Any other questions? So if you don't run, you can still apply in the fall, but your term in that case would be for just 1 year. And if you apply, if you run in the elections and you get elected, your term will be for 2 years. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. How does the Senate differ from us?
Not too sure.
I can answer
Anyone?
that. The academic senate essentially is like where we've sent a lot of our proposals to. Like when we talked about like respondus, like we sent that to them. When we talked about grading changes, we sent that to them. When we talk about like the ethnic studies proposal, like we send that to them as well. Their job focuses mainly on academic services, so like deciding if a major becomes a major, or if a minor becomes a minor, if this new degree program exists or it doesn't exist. They do a lot of work around that and a lot of work around funding for different programs and degree programs. They do also occasionally have things that occur that also heavily impact students. And so in that sense, like you would attend their meetings. I think also like Michael, Representative Fernandez is a member of the Senate currently and also a member of USG. You can be both. You can serve on USG and be a student member of the Senate. They have like monthly meetings, and there's like 100 or so senators, and you get sent on like a committee and stuff like that. So they do a lot of stuff that's like similar to USG, except it's a lot more focused on like the faculty part of UIC.
Thank you, Hassan.
Great, thank you so much.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, may we please have the report of the student trustee? Is the student trustee present? No, okay. All right, in that case, we can move on to the next order of business, which is officer reports. So may we please have the report of the president?
Yeah, thank you. And like, hi again, everyone. Happy New Year. And just like echoing everything that Dre said, thank you so much for that, Dre. And so for this year, like, again, kind of like following up on some of the stuff that we had worked on last year and we had continued to work on and kind of like are hoping to see. One like new sort of proposal that we're looking at is this idea for this like sort of like USG creation of a student emergency housing fund, where essentially like we at USG would be purchasing like campus housing units on like a 2 to 3 year contract, and essentially give these to students who are experiencing homelessness to be able to use temporarily. This is a project that I'm working on, and I'm hoping to be able to connect with the other student council leaders on campus, see if we can pool some of our funds to be able to put together a fairly hefty amount of money towards this, so that we might be able to do something on like a several year contract. So it's not like USG has to refresh the funding every year. We're also putting together another proposal that I think is pretty interesting, which is for a behavioral crisis worker unit, which is essentially going to be a 24/7 service at UIC to have a crisis worker who can provide services like mental health crisis counseling, de-escalation or harm reduction, medical care if someone might be dealing with like a threat of like suicide or suicidal ideation, drug overdose, or an intoxication call. And then also to help with things like hospital transfers outside of the counseling center or trauma care for survivors of sexual assault. And the idea, again, is to really kind of be able to provide a service that is sort of an alternate to policing in a lot of situations that don't necessarily call for it. Another interesting thing that we were able to do these past couple of like months was like the chancellor and the chief of police like agreed to remove race from the public safety advisories. And there should be like a mass mail going out about this, but I think, and I haven't checked the latest ones, but I think that they have already started doing this over the past couple of weeks. We're also working on planning a town hall for student issues with the Student Survey Coalition. That's going to be on February 10th, and the goal is to talk about like strategies and organize around student issues, just very generically, whether your interest is in like tuition reduction, or if your interest is in like more equitable grading policy for this semester. And it's a very like broad coalition of students from like all walks of campus life. And sort of alongside that, the Student Survey Coalition and the 80 question survey that we had kind of heard about at the very last USG meeting and we'd kind of worked on actually ended up getting about 1,500 responses. And it goes over issues running from everything from like students who are like dealing with food or housing insecurity to students who are dealing with financial instability to mental health issues, so on and so forth. And so it's a really comprehensive survey, and we're trying to like sift through the data. I know a couple of USG members have also seen it. I know like Matthew, like you were there as well. And so there's a lot there, and hopefully it'll help us like push forward on some of the issues that we're really keen on. And then kind of like moving forward, it's just like a thank you to Representative Kayla Taylor, because the two of us presented on our ethnic studies general education proposal to the academic senate. And so they essentially like agreed that this is an important issue, and they were like pretty impressed as well. And they're trying to like figure out how to implement this, and we're hoping that they kind of stick to a lot of the nature of what we've put forward when they sort of figure out the whole implementation plan. But they look to be moving forward on that, and we're hopefully going to have more information in the coming weeks. And then I'll definitely let you all know like what comes out of that as well. There have also been like several meetings with like the Good Trouble Coalition and Abolition at UIC on helping to continue to push for the demands letter that was sent from the Juneteenth demands letter. And we've also had meetings on like the bias response tool and like working groups for that. Geez, there's like a lot here. And so then from there, like I had a meeting last week with Provost Poser to talk about like a whole host of different issues. But the first one on the docket was the idea of student mental health days. It's something we touched on very briefly at the end of last semester. But essentially picking out days from the semester where essentially classes are canceled or professors are asked to cancel classes, where students would just get a day of break. And she seemed a little hesitant for that, especially since we do kind of retain a lot of our current schedule with spring break and everything else like that. But we're hoping to like kind of continue to push for this on this. And she said that she would check in with some of the other deans and see what they thought as well. The other two options that we were considering were creating like a reading week at the end of the semester, similar to what they have down in Urbana-Champaign, where you'd have a week off of classes right before finals. Or just allowing for students to be able to take off mental health days, or rather than having to, outright declare like an incomplete for the semester, just being able to get like an excused absence or something of the sort from class for a handful of days. We also talked about like issues with the current grading policy system, and she seemed like very like reticent to make any sort of change around that. So we're hoping to be able to continue to organize in some other way. I'm not really sure what that looks like or how I might be able to continue to push for this change, but we're definitely gonna try, hopefully. The other issue that I brought up was the idea of GPA recalculation, where if you like fail a course or you get like a non-passing grade in a course, and you have to retake that course, essentially at that point, like you don't really get a new grade for that. You keep the old grade and you don't really see like much. I mean, you would see a change in your GPA, but it's not as beneficial as if like that previous grade was just given as like an incomplete or something like that. And so I thought that that was pretty unfair. And I had a couple of people actually bring that issue up to me last semester. And so I brought that up with her, and she seemed like really intrigued because she had never heard about this before. So she's going to check into that as well and see what they might be able to do. The other thing we talked about was like the textbook price reduction program, especially something that like USG has been very interested in like previous years. And so they have like the fund currently like through the library to basically like hand out stipends to professors who are creating open source material or using open source material. And it's about a $20,000 like fund that they have going on, and they claim that it's saved somewhere around $154,000 worth of textbook costs. And so we're hoping to be able to contribute some USG money to that as well to potentially expand the impact of that, or somewhat like modify like their program as well. And then the last two things were like the like provost is rolling out a plan to like decolonize syllabi, essentially to look to see where like syllabi in classrooms are predominantly focusing or centering like white experiences, and really kind of like avoiding some of these like colonialist ideas, and trying to sort of expand the reach. And she said it's like a little bit of a complicated and like long-winded process, so that sounds like it's a bit of a like an academic idea, I guess, that's gonna go on for the next couple of years. And then the last thing that I've got is we also planned a meeting with the 5 other student councils and Chancellor Emeritus for February 4th. So if there's anything that you all would like me to bring up specifically, alongside many of these other issues like tuition reduction and talking about these like mental health days, talking about the grading policy changes, talking about like student safety and the other stuff that we've brought up. If there's anything else that you'd like me to add on to that docket, like I'm always like happy to take that on. Just please do let me know. And then there are two things that are not on this that I had to make sure to remember to say. The first was about recruitment. Just wanted to bring that up really quickly. So for the spring semester, like we're not looking to do another like large round of recruitment just because of like the fact that it takes a lot of time to, like get new representatives like onboarded and everything like that. And we're basically like in like the last leg of like this administration. And then the other thing is like also like we have student elections coming up, and so I'm hoping that people will participate more in the student elections than the sort of like internal application process that we used. And so we are still like allowing people who are like, especially some people who had wanted to join last semester but weren't able to because of like scheduling conflicts, or people who are just really, really like passionate and interested to apply through like the standard sort of like Google form that we have. And so that's like something that we will have to like update on the website and stuff as well. And the second thing was the like like the UIC, like U of I system, like public affairs division is like having a program tomorrow at like 11:30 to talk about like lobbying and to talk about like storytelling and really the importance of like being able to share your own personal experiences. So if anyone's available for that, like I'm definitely gonna send the email out again after this, like in the recap, like also with the information that like Dre's putting out as well about like the elections and stuff like that. Just so that you have all of that, and if you have time, like please definitely do attend. I think it'll be a super interesting program. And with that, concludes my report.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? I have a question, and this is not necessarily for you, Wasan, but I'm aware that there is a new provost coming in. I think that's after the summer. But I'm just wondering, for all of these proposals and all the things that you're going to be working on with this provost, how is that going to change or continue when we have a new provost?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, so Provost Poser is leaving in like May to go to like Hofstra, and she's gonna like help in the transition over the summer. We're gonna have a new provost in the fall, by which point like I'll also have graduated. And so one thing that I want to do and I want to make sure is that on that like search committee that they have, because they're putting together a search committee now to find a new provost. Like I definitely want to have like somebody from USG. It could be me, it could be someone else as well. Be there to make sure that of course like we have like our own representation. We get a chance to at least meet them. Obviously, like with people who are in administration, people like the provost and the chancellor, like there is like a little bit of like stonewalling that goes on there, and a little bit of friction between like student gov and student activists and administrators. But that's kind of like inherent. And so I'd hope that we at the very least like get a chance to meet the candidates and chat with them about how they feel about some of these things that we care about.
And just to add to that also, I would see the fact that there is going to be a transition period as almost a way to really kind of voice your opinion on certain things that you do want to see. At least that's how I've been advised by even other people in like the administration of like there is going to be a change in who the provost is, and so this is really your time to kind of sell the things that you've been working on or working towards rather. So it presents like an interesting opportunity for us as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, if not, then we can have the report of the Vice President.
Cool. Welcome back, everyone. Happy third week of the semester, I think it is. Hope everyone's school and everything is going okay right now. So I guess big news for today is that we finally released our survey for the Mental Health Coalition. So far we have like 40-ish responses, but I know that the burnout survey that Wasson referenced earlier got about 1,400. So our original goal was about 500 responses, but if we can triple that, that would be extremely great because the more responses we have, the easier it is to kind of sell some of like the changes that we're trying to make based purely on numbers. So definitely I've spoken to Aitana already and she'll kind of post a graphic about the survey. So if just everyone could be as helpful as possible in terms of like resharing it. You don't necessarily have to do it to your socials if you're not comfortable with that, but even just to other friends that go to UAC. And it's also for both graduate and undergraduate students. Because a lot of the mental health resources kind of are between both campuses. So that is there, and we're planning to keep it open until about February 15th, I believe. So we'll keep kind of making pushes to get more responses to that survey. And then we're also in the process of collecting data from different mental health resources on campus. So whether that's the Wellness Center or like the WLRC. Oh, yes, Dahlia, if you could put the link to the survey in the chat, that would be helpful. But yeah, so all of those resources are kind of getting back to us now about what specifically they'd like to represent as the things that they offer, the services that they provide, and how they can help students out. And then that kind of goes into our bigger project of having an interactive survey that's housed on the UIC website, the Counseling Center, wherever it may be, that students can basically answer a bunch of questions anonymously and then be guided to whatever resource would best fit their needs. And that's kind of where Michelle and anyone else that's kind of like in the CS department would be really helpful, is if you can speak to like advisors and professors that would be in charge of like capstone projects, to see if there's any students that are interested in kind of making that their capstone project, or even just helping out with something like that, because I definitely do not have the technical expertise to do so. But yeah, that would be helpful. And then Quinton is also looking more into like campus care to see what exactly they cover in terms of mental health, and also if we can expand some of those coverages. And so that was like a couple questions in our survey that we asked, of whether covering like online therapy options would be helpful. And with the fact that both the West Campus and the Counseling Center, both psychological services get backed up really quickly, perhaps expanding campus care to even be able to cover off-campus mental health resources. So that's definitely going to be a big work in progress, but the more information we know, the better. And then also, like Lawson was saying, talking about a reading week and getting an understanding of like whether that would be helpful to students, and representing that, or presenting that idea to the faculty senate, hopefully at this upcoming meeting, the one on the 28th. And then also, this is kind of where I want feedback from the group, is there is a possibility where we can kind of have an event with Hermes where we can, who's the director of the Counseling Center, but we can ask him questions about certain standards that the Counseling Center is supposed to meet, or even just in terms of their hiring process. And then Dahlia has the contact for someone from the Board of Education, and perhaps inviting them, so that there is just kind of more of a serious environment, and like it's not just students that are asking for these things, but there's a little bit more accountability. So that's where I wanted feedback from the group in terms of, do you think an event like that would be helpful? And what could it look like? Like, I know I have plenty documents of the Counseling Center where they're kind of responding to FOIA requests, or responding to like, Illinois has specific laws about mental health. There's one that's kind of really easy to read, but they basically are responding to that and saying that we're up to par there, but arguably they aren't. But yeah, can I pause my report here and see if anyone has comments or suggestions for that?
Any comments or questions?
Wait, so just to like clarify the question, so like you said that there were these like planning documents that the Counseling Center had like available for people to like look at, or it was like specifically like
I have access to them. I've just kind of compiled them all in like a Google Drive folder. But if enough people express interest, I can definitely like share the link here. Because it's not like it's confidential information. They were all like FOIA requests, and then also reports from like previous task forces about what the Counseling Center could improve on, and different task force reports also.
Gotcha. And it's like these things like technically, or not technically, I guess, but like these things like haven't really been like changed, or they've kind of like disregarded some of the
It's like hit or miss. So there's a couple documents that we went through with Vice Chancellor Tolliver, and he told us what like the status was for each of those action items. And then that's also where I'm hoping at the last town hall, the administration talked about having that like progress bar. So that's where I understand that most of those would go in. But I guess what I was thinking more is like, there's legal pieces like from the state government about what mental health support is supposed to look like on college campuses. and kind of going through that like written legal document and matching it to what we have and kind of seeing what are the areas that we can kind of say like, this really needs to be improved because legally you're accountable for it kind of thing. Yeah. So it would just kind of be like, I guess you can see it as like a town hall with Hermes, but in a way to add a little bit more pressure because he's a very like evasive non-answer type of like, in terms of like responding. Okay. Were there any other questions about that specifically or comments?
I just kind of did want to also do a little slide in with the meeting about Joe Hermes. We should also invite Bonfire to that meeting because as we've seen to be a trend, when Bonfire gets involved, the university will sometimes act like a little quicker. So I think this might also be Bonfire liaison, and I'm dumb because I'm doing laundry, but I did just want to add that if we're going to be inviting the Board of Education to speak, I want there to be like, I think the mistake that we made the last time we met with Joe Hermes when it was USG as a whole was we gave him questions, and there were questions that were relatively easier than others. And so he avoided the harder questions, the questions that were more hard hitting, the questions that asked about race and ethnicity in the counseling center, he completely disregarded. So in regard to that, I do want us to try and focus our questions more and focus our itineraries more so he can't work around it. He's forced to respond to those points.
And on that note too, that reminds me of something that I forgot to put on here, but that is one of the things that we've also been discussing with him. So right now time is of the essence because the chancellor has allotted a certain amount of money towards the counseling center for new hires. They, as of right now, are just planning to hire, I've gotten mixed responses on this, whether they're planning to hire only counselors with PhDs or if they're also planning to hire counselors that have a different like degree requirement, but PhDs are technically like the most professionally licensed counselors, but then there's other professional licenses underneath that. But obviously with that kind of hierarchy comes different pay grades. So they basically told us that the proposal that we had sent or that we had passed last year to get more counselors wasn't going to get us as many as we anticipated. But that being said, this is also our time now to say, wait, don't use all of that funding just to hire full-time counselors, but let's look into crisis counselors as well, because that's something that as a university, as a student body, we think would benefit us more than having 2 or 3 additional other counselors. So that's where that ties into what Lawson was talking about in terms of like shifting some of the responsibilities that are provided to the police and changing it in a way that it's more community serving and better, like people that are actually professionally equipped to handle those kinds of situations are then available to handle those kinds of situations. So that's also a really big point to note. But that's it for mental health coalition stuff. The other thing is I kind of have to pick back up where I left off with writing the resolution for the bonfire liaison. To keep myself accountable, I plan to have that for the next meeting. And then the rest of the report for me today is just like goals that I personally have for the semester. And a lot of them are things that we had thought about at the beginning of last semester that kind of fell under the radar. But like one of them was the resource center for undocumented students. The other was like the menstrual hygiene vending machines. And then also the other big kind of unfortunate news that we got in terms of like mental health coalition is we were also planning to have focus groups with students to get more out of the data of our survey. And Vice Chancellor Tolliver had kind of said that we would be able to do that because the counseling center comes under review, as do all of the other departments on campus on some kind of cycle. And so they're up for review. And basically, the vice chancellor would organize an external like counseling or consulting service that would conduct the focus groups, but we would be able to play a role in that, kind of saying like what information we wanted and what questions we specifically wanted answered. But he said, unfortunately, the way the timeline is working out, he doesn't think that'll happen this semester. And that's something that I definitely just want to put out there, make sure it's in the meeting notes and things like that, because I am going to be graduating this semester, but I want to make sure that that's something that USG kind of keeps track of and kind of keeps administration accountable for. But yes, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I just like wanted to mention one thing. Yeah, specifically like how you mentioned about like crisis counseling. I think that definitely would be like really important because like when we talked about it with the chancellor, like he said that there was like enough money to like fund like a pilot of this program, but they're not really sure how it would seem in like the long term. So I think that that's like huge if there is like some sort of dedicated stream.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, may we please have the report of the treasurer?
Yeah, just a short report for today. So the Treasury Committee met with Seamus from the YDSA, asking to subsidize their upcoming winter conference, and I should be introducing a resolution for that next meeting. I'm still in contact with the UIC library, and I'm gonna probably introduce the resolution to purchase the lockers next meeting as well, and then go ahead with that based off of what you guys vote on. And then Deputy Treasurer Mohammed is in talks with the Sustainability Department to see how we can collaborate with them. And so I'll keep you guys updated on that as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, if not, the report of the treasurer will be filed. And next we have my report. So welcome back, everybody. I'm really excited to be working with you all this semester and see what amazing things we can accomplish. So thank you to everybody who joined us at the end of the year party. That was really fun. We made cookies, we watched the movie, it was awesome. Thank you to everybody who made it happen and to everybody who attended it. And we are still waiting on the reimbursements for that, but that should be coming soon. Then Danielle and I apologize for the lack of minutes for the previous meeting. And as I mentioned, we were unable to find the minutes in box, so we'll just have to approve them at the next meeting, along with the minutes for the meeting we are in right now. The next thing is please make sure you have access to Box. I know we were talking about that last semester, and then I emailed ACCC, and then I don't know what happened after that. They never replied to me or never got back to me in any way. So I still don't know if you guys have access to Box, but if you don't, please email me and I will try to contact them again and see if we can find a solution. Okay, so then I'm just giving everybody a refresher for how to title the resolutions. So Wasan, if you could please scroll down to not the next page, but the one after. So this guide to creating a resolution, just as a reminder, first you put the year. So it's gonna be 2021, and then you put the term, so it's gonna be S, and then the meeting, so for this meeting would be 1. And then the last 3 digits or 4 digits would be your code as determined a little below. So for example, for me, it would be, if I were to present a resolution today, it would be titled 2021-S1 for spring meeting 1 dash 900. Does that make sense? Okay. If you're struggling with this, I will email this document to you. And then Wasan, if you scroll down a little more, this is the template for how to make a resolution. And the next page, there is the example. Okay, let's go back up. So this is basically what you can use for the resolution. So back to my report. And just to remind you for your officer reports, make sure you are titling them S number of the meeting, where S stands for the spring and the number of the meeting is just whatever meeting we are in. So the other thing is that Matthew will be holding meetings with some committee chairs and he will be sharing the notes with me. So if you have received an email, might probably in the future receive an email, just, feel free to meet with him and, whatever Matthew wants to talk about or you want to talk about, you're welcome to do that. This semester, I will also be working with Matthew to teach him how to create the meeting packets, and he will at some point lead a meeting. And then Matthew also encourages everybody to join the cause for the textbook affordability campaign with Illinois PIRG, and that can be discussed more in announcements. So a few attendance reminders. Please make sure to email Daniela and I if you plan on being late or not attend the meeting so that we can determine if your absence is excused or unexcused as written in the bylaws. If you arrive after roll call has been called, please post a comment or, turn on your mic and let us know that you're here because we don't always monitor who enters the room. So you might be considered absent if you miss roll call and don't let us know afterwards. And just a reminder that 3 unexcused absences or 4 total absences, excused and unexcused, equals to, will lead to an automatic removal from USG. So if you have any of these, if you have that many absences, you might be automatically removed from USG. So just be aware of that. And then if you have 2 unexcused absences or 3 total absences, you will receive a notice from me to inform you that if you miss one more meeting, you might be removed. And this is just for officer report reminders. The written reports are going to be due Saturdays at 6 p.m. This semester, I will try not to send any reminder emails because this is your individual responsibility. So please set an alarm or a reminder to make sure you turn it in. And this is just for the e-board, by the way. Everybody else, it does not have to turn in report. It's the reports, sorry, unless you are an e-board member. So e-board members, remember to turn in your reports due Saturdays at 6 p.m. Let me know if you need an extension. I'll be happy to work with you. And starting this week, late reports, I will not be accepting late reports, but they still need to be turned in to Daniela. And just earlier today, we started a record. We started a log of who has turned in their officer reports on time, who has turned it in after the deadline, and who has not turned it in at all. So please make sure you send that. And there is 2 more things that actually I just figured out during this meeting. So they are not included in my report, but one of them is the fact that Matthew and I will be working on the bylaws and the strike policy. We'll be trying to change that. And then the other thing is that Daniela and I will also be working on a resolution, and that will be, it'll be about absences in terms of the executive board members. And we were kind of worried that the allowed absences are way too many for e-board members. So we'll be considering maybe changing them or lowering that. I don't know if that will happen or not yet. We'll be meeting and talking about that, but I will let you guys know if anything. And I think this concludes my report. I yield for questions. Okay, so if there are no questions, this concludes my report. And next we have the report of the Chief of Staff. Is anybody reading Tim's report? No? Okay. Next, we have the report of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee Chair.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope the semester is going well for everyone. So, quick things. We're continuing to work on the Know Your Rights series with the Graduate Student Council. We should be having a meeting soon, and we're organizing an upcoming event with CAN. The one you emailed us about it wasn't today, I think, and so Dr. Cheng didn't reach out to me until like last week, so I would have to catch up with her on like the plan for that event and if they like had any flyers so we could share them on our social media. I met with Erin over break. She's the sexual assault survivor who spoke at one of the CAN events, and she's also part of the union, like the graduate student union, the employers, and I mean the employees, sorry, the workers. And we're continuing to work on Title IX initiatives with her, and we'll be meeting with her soon as well to solidify plans. There's the new meeting time for the committee will be on Tuesday, 6 p.m. So every Tuesday, 6 p.m. And also I met with Watson over break to just talk about plans for the committee over spring break, over like spring semester. We're also finalizing ideas for Be Aware campaign. It's an idea that Rohan came up with, committee member Rohan, and we're working to launch the campaign soon over social media. And next week, I will be presenting a resolution regarding implementing the Middle Eastern North African descent as a race category on all UIC's documentation. That's something that the Arab Center has been working on for years, and they would like to have USG's support. So I've been working on the resolution with them over the break, and they'll be here to answer all of your guys' questions next week. That's it. I yield for questions.
Are there any questions or comments?
Daisy, I have a question for you actually. Will I have to tell you again that they'll be coming from the Arab Center? Or like, is this good? Like, what do I have to do for you that there will be guests next week?
You just, when you send your report to me, in your report, in your email, you just say, hey, I'm having these guests. These are their names. Please include them. That's pretty much it.
And I could just send them the meeting link?
Yep.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Okay, if not, then the report of the chairwoman of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Legislative Affairs Committee Chair.
Hey y'all, I hope the beginning of your spring semester, even though we are in the middle of a snowstorm, is going well. I'm gonna try and keep it as short and sweet as possible because I've got Actually, let me turn off my alarm so it doesn't blare. But I have to go switch out my laundry, so try and make it short as sweet as possible. But I'm working on the sexual assault action items, and I've reached out to Title IX. When I wrote this report, my email was sent, but nothing had happened yet. Today, though, I have received confirmation that I'll be meeting with 3 of the Title IX constituents at, I think, 3 p.m. on Wednesday. If anybody is interested in like being part of that meeting, let me know. I am going to try and keep it to like 1 or 2 people. Additionally to me, you'll be able to get the report if you're on the committee. So like, don't stress and like you don't need to be there. It's more so just to feel out Title IX and see how far we can go with our action items this semester. So if anybody is interested in being in that meeting, just let me know and I'll get back to everybody who let me know by like probably by tonight, because I have to send an email saying who's going to be in that meeting with me. So just let me know. I'm going to be talking about the action items that we discussed in the sexual assault meeting that I hosted, I think the first week that we were back. So almost 2 weeks ago now. But thank you to everybody who came to that, by the way. That was awesome. I loved that we were able to have that meeting, and the people that had like questions or concerns or just ideas kind of voiced them to me. I really appreciate it. We're probably, I'm probably going to reassign the time for that meeting because I know that there were constraints for everybody's schedule. So I'll probably send out a poll for everybody again. First asking what days are preferred for everybody, and then asking what times are preferred for everybody. And then if you aren't able to make the time that I put on the in the group chat, then we can schedule a second one where I can like talk to you about it, or I can send you a follow-up email. And then next, working with MHC. So we finally put out our survey, as Hannah said. That was a very long time coming. I'm really happy that it's out. It's published. The link is there. You can fill it out. Please fill it out. It literally only takes like 5 minutes. So if you're able to, just go click on that link. If you haven't already, fill it out. It asks a couple questions about mental health, what resources you've used, how you feel those resources did. I'm pretty much reiterating everything Hannah said, but please fill out the form. After that, happy involvement fair to everybody that's in other orgs. I know this week is busy, to say the least, so I hope you guys are all taking care of yourselves and doing well. I had my first committee meeting the first week we were back at school. We didn't really have anything to discuss last week, so we didn't meet last week, but we did get our meeting in the first week, and we discussed plans for how our committee is going to be hosting things. All 3 of them have said that they want to stay on with my committee, which is awesome. I'm very thankful to have all of them with me, and that's Michael, Matthew, and Misty. So thank you guys for sticking with me this semester. If anybody else is trying to join my committee, please let me know. I think I'm not sure if we're having like a formal shifting of committees this semester, but yeah, just let me know. And then our main action items are going to be lobby days. Those are still being figured out with the office that controls those. I have an IBHE, so Illinois Board of Higher Education meeting on Friday. And then we had a monthly, not service, I'm getting the coalitions messed up, but one of the monthly coalitions that discuss civic engagement, or Civic Engagement Coalition, met, I think, the first week, and they still aren't completely sure about lobby days, so that is still in the works. The Sexual Assault Coalition awareness and action items, I'm going to say them really quickly. So we want to definitely push awareness. I know that a lot of other branches of student government are doing that. So if the Legislative Affairs Committee can do anything to like help with dispersal of like forms or planning or anything like that, definitely let us know so we can work on you with that. Work on that with you. I am so tired. And then we're also going to be looking at action items. The 4 action items that we have mainly are going to be, why is the process so long? So these are mainly questions that I'm going to be asking this week, but why is the process so long in comparison to UIUC, when they have like, let's say I think document of like 9 to maybe 15 pages, something like that. And then ours is like 27 pages long. So why is there a discourse when we're both in Illinois? We're both under the same university. So why is that discourse a thing that our students have to experience and not theirs? So why that process is so long. And then the second step being, why is the process of getting a case filed and completed and closed so long? I think that that is going to be something that we may not be able to touch just because of the change in administration of the federal administration. I know that they're going to be planning on reworking a lot of things, as I've heard discussed in previous meetings. A lot of people are talking about how the Biden administration is going to be reworking a lot of the things, especially with Title IX and sexual misconduct cases. So I guess that's kind of just like a cross fingers and wait thing, but we'll see. The other thing is seeing if they're able and willing to hire people who speak other languages, because we are again, we're known as the most diverse school in the nation, and we have a very, very high percentage of international students that join us. And so having to go through something that's as traumatic as a sexual misconduct case without being able to even like speak your first language while going through it is probably very stressful and very hard. So we want to see if we're able to get people who are able to speak other languages and are able to help students that need that help. So potentially like employing students or employing cultural centers, but again, that might be a discrepancy issue. I know that we discussed this in our Sexual Assault Coalition meeting, but yeah, I'll ask about it and I'll see what they say. So fingers crossed. And then I feel like I'm missing one. I'm gonna keep going through and then I'll come back to it. We'll circle back, I guess. But we also are going to be looking at UIC for food services and supporting local businesses, especially during the pandemic. A lot of local businesses are really struggling to get their numbers up in sales and to survive when it's so easy for a lot of bigger chains to kind of just be associated with applications and things like that and have, the big name working for them. So we want to make a list of, sorry if you hear my heater in the background, it's very loud, but we're going to try and work on seeing if food services is willing to partner with local businesses so that we can either sell some of it or use some of it in a post-pandemic world in like meetings. That's not looking very likely, but we still want to see if they will entertain the idea. And then if that's a no-go, we're gonna at least kind of put together like a flyer that like has the names of local businesses on it, and then maybe like a blurb from a member of USG that says like why they like the business so much. So it's got that like homey touch to it, I guess. And then for people's specific events, Misty's event is planned to be online, unless the university has new news for in-person events. So she's going to be working on that still this semester. Michael and Matthew both have tasks in regards to the Blackboard calendar and then the communications application, respectively. So I'm still looking for a contact for Michael to reach out to about this issue for the calendars. And Matthew has a survey all set up and good to go, I think. There may still be a couple tweaks that we need to get done, but other than that, it's pretty much ready to be out if it's not out already. And I'm going to stop my report there. I know I said I was going to keep it short and sweet, but I feel like I did the opposite. I yield for questions and hope you guys have a good rest of your week.
you. Are there any questions? Okay, so if not, then the report of the chairwoman of the Legislative Affairs Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Public Relations Committee Chair.
Hello, and good evening. Good evening to everybody. So, can you guys see me? I'm not sure if my camera's on. Anyway, okay. So, just want to say welcome, and I hope that your semester is starting well. So, what I have so far is that I've uploaded the meeting times that we have for this semester on the USG website. So, all the dates for Mondays and the links for Mondays are on the website. And I've also started working on the YouTube channel. So I've cleaned up the meeting times and uploaded any missing videos that we might have. We finally got the committee meeting for PRC. It will be on Fridays at 4 p.m. And then I'm going to talk to them about a lot of plans I have this semester, like merchandise and types of roles that I'm going to assign. And I will update you if anything comes up. So that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? If not, then the report of the chairwoman of the Public Relations Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Student Affairs Committee Chair. I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but Marian has decided to step down from her position. And Wasan will talk more about a nomination for a new committee chair in items for discussion. But does anybody else have a report for the Student Affairs Committee? Okay, so if not, then we can move on to the report of the Campus Life Committee Chair.
Hi everyone, I hope you had a great winter break and I'm looking forward to working with you all again this semester. Sorry my report's not up there today. I had some complications with illness last weekend, and in the future, I will have that up. For my Campus Life Committee members, I will be sending out a poll with meeting times for our committee meetings this semester, and you can just choose one that works with you. And if you have any conflicts, we can discuss further. And we will discuss some new and continuing initiatives that I hope to push through this semester. And I won't bore you all with the list right now, but hopefully we can get some of those resolutions done. And one last reminder, our mental health survey is live right now, so please respond if you haven't already. Thank you, and I yield my time.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? If not, then the report of the chairwoman of the Campus Life Committee will be filed. The next order of business is old business, and there is currently no old business. The next order of business is new business, and there is also no new business. The next order of business is items for discussion. The first item for discussion is the nomination for Student Affairs Committee Chair, and Wasan, you're welcome to take over for that.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, as Daisy mentioned, Chairwoman Odette stepped down from her position as Student Affairs Committee Chair. She was on USG for more than a year and a half, and she's done an exceptional job, especially with Student Affairs Committee. And of course, like, we're sad to see her go. And she also mentioned that she's more than happy to help, carry on any of the initiatives that y'all had been working on in the Student Affairs Committee. If you would like to reach out to her, like, she's also happy to help with any of the transition materials. And so for this coming semester, for the spring semester, I would like to nominate Representative Tega Obire for the position of Student Affairs Committee Chairwoman. And Tega, I believe, has a short speech prepared.
I do. Thank you for is my camera on? Thank you for the nomination. Okay, so I'm Tego Bure, an urban studies major and public policy minor. I'm confident that I will serve well as the chair of the Student Affairs Committee, as first and foremost, as with most of us here, I am a student. I'm very well aware of the highs and mostly the lows that come with attending university. Beyond that, my experience as a student assistant in the Dean's office on West Campus has allowed me to forge tangible relationship with deans, academic advisors, and the faculty body, all critical personnel in the change and ideas such as devising means to promote educational success pathways and mental well-being that I hope to work on. I serve as a student aide for UIC's first ever sustainability specific fundraising platform, a position that's allowed me to put into practice negotiation, communication, appeals, and many other skills, which attest to the fact that I'm qualified for this position. Academically, I've continuously been placed on the Dean's list, invited to partake in my college's joint bachelor's and master's degree program, and have generally explored many of the great academic support resources that UIC offers, several of which are unknown to the student body. In fact, one of the key projects I hope to take on is widely publicizing the bounty of on-campus paid internship programs, mainly because I understand how difficult it is for students to find relevant paid internships during and even post-pandemic. Outside of UIC, I work with EchoStone Housing as a community development intern. This eye-opening opportunities help me foster a listening and nurturing spirit, essentials in any leadership position. These are skills that I can translate into the Student Affairs Committee, being receptive of critique and feedback on improvement that the UIC undergraduate students want to see in terms of the academic environment. Besides this, my familiarity with the inner workings of the Student Affairs Committee, having served as the deputy chair for the fall semester, has equipped me with a first-hand experience on the responsibilities and expectations of me, should I assume this role. The opportunity to lead the Student Affairs Committee is one which I would truly value and aspire to do my best in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry. I'll just hand it back to Daisy, my bad.
Thank you. I see, is that some raised hands? Aitana, do you have a comment? Or was that just a clap?
Just clap.
Anna, same for you?
No, just claps, just claps.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Thank you guys. So I was not aware that there was a speech prepared, but it looks like we're voting someone in today, or not, but it looks like we're voting today, which is awesome. So Wasan mentioned that there is a voting form ready. So before we move everybody to a different room, does anybody have any questions for Tega? Okay, so if not, Wasan, feel free to move everybody who can't vote to a different room, and then everybody who can vote will receive the link.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.
Yes.
So congratulations, Tega.
Congratulations, Tega.
Thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations.
So I was informed that Tega would need to take the oath. So just give me 1 second to pull it up. Okay. All right, Tega, whenever you're ready, feel free to repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend.
I will support and defend.
The students of the University of Illinois at Chicago.
The students of the University of Illinois at Chicago.
That I will serve students.
That I will serve students.
Faithfully and truthfully.
Faithfully and truthfully.
And that I will uphold, protect, and preserve.
That I will uphold, protect, and preserve.
The Constitution and standing rules.
The Constitution and standing rules.
Of the undergraduate student government.
Of the undergraduate student government.
Congratulations, you are now the new Student Affairs Committee Chair.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you guys. All right, so let's see what's next. Does anybody else have any other items for discussion?
I actually have just one. So I actually got an ad from a law firm that they're attempting to gather evidence for a lawsuit against schools using the proctoring softwares like Respondus and all those sorts of things. So I can send someone. I know Wasson tried for a resolution last semester about that, so I can send that to you if you're interested in getting that.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know about that. It's super interesting. I think Daisy also had one last semester that she sent to me. They're using this BIPA law on like bioinformatics tracking, which I think is super important, of course, to keep secure. They also tried a very similar effort at the John Marshall Law School. The students themselves actually filed something, maybe not a suit, but they filed something against the dean of the school there. But definitely, please do send ahead. I think it's very interesting and would definitely be important to kind of continue on this.
Yeah, I just thought it might be good to be like, hey, if there's like a real fear that the administration should probably have if we keep using stuff like this. But okay, I'll send that to you.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Are there any other items for discussion?
Wait a minute.
What's up? Go ahead.
Actually, before we end the meeting, could I ask everybody to turn on their cameras so I can like take a screen snip and take a picture of all of us? Cool.
Okay. We could do that now, but we do have announcements after that as well.
Okay. How about after announcements?
Okay.
Or no, whatever.
It's
like something about something. You're like, we'll do it later.
Yeah, we can do it now because everybody turned on their cameras. So if you guys feel comfortable, please turn on your cameras.
Only if you're comfortable.
Only if you're comfortable. All right. So whenever you're ready. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic.
One more? Let's do one more.
One more. Okay. Give me a
Hold on,
second.
before you do it, so if you guys are hearing this and if you're comfortable, please turn on your cameras. There's like 3 more people. Okay.
If not, that's fine. Whatever is your comfort zone. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Fantastic.
Thank you, Aitana. Okay.
No, thank you.
So, any other items for discussion? If not, then we can move on to the next order of business, which is announcements. Does anybody have any announcements?
I have one announcement. So, continuing our campaign, our textbooks affordability campaign with Illinois PERD. As Daisy mentioned, I encourage everyone to help us out on this campaign. We are going to be releasing a petition. If you're interested in helping us out in regards to this campaign, please email me. You don't have to join as an intern, you can join as a volunteer. This is one of our biggest campaigns for this state, and we plan to get a lot of work done. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, any other announcements?
Actually, I do have a really quick thing. If anybody was interested in being in that meeting, that's on Wednesday at 3 o'clock, other than Misty, please like put it in chat or send me like a text to my phone number. I haven't gotten anything and I just want to make sure before I send this email because I'm like about to hit send. So put it in chat or like send me a text. I'll put my number in chat so if anybody is interested, but yeah, just make sure to get it to me within like the hour so I can send that email out. So we're on track for Wednesday.
Any other announcements?
I do, but it's not an announcement. I just want to share this information that I got. So I found out that there is this website that's called wonder.me. And it's kind of like a Zoom, but it's like 10 times better because it gives you the impression that you're walking towards people. So whenever you two cross each other, like the video is opened and it's just so fun. So definitely check it out if you just, it's a little bit more informal than Zoom, but if you have like any class discussions to lead or anything like that, it's super, super, super fun. Wonder.me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay, so if not, we can move on to the next order of business, which is adjournment. So is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
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 All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? All right, the ayes have it. This meeting is now adjourned at 7:47 p.m.
Bye, everyone.
Good job, everybody.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night.
Easy. Will the video be on a link or on your computer?